Leave it alone.
Careful there, careful there. My name's Rich Morra. I'm the director of the play here tonight. A few housekeeping notes before we begin. If you need to leave the theater for any reason during the show, you can exit out this door, where our bathroom is also located right here. Unfortunately, right now it's the only bathroom we have, so don't fight at intermission. No, really, don't fight. Or this exit here, where you probably more than likely came in towards the front of the building. So you have two exits, the rear and where you came in. If you could all check your phones, make sure they're off, that would be awesome, so they don't cause trouble with the actors. The play today is a 3-act play. The running time is not very long. It's only 95 minutes between the 3 acts, so as fast as you can go to the bathroom, we'll get right to it. That's all I have. If you like what you see here, join the mailing list at Artist Exchange to be up to date with all that's on deck for the activities back at the ranch at 50 Rolls Square, and also here for any upcoming performances. It's a kind of weird day for me. This is the last play I'll do here at Black Box Theater with Artist Exchange. So the cast promised me that they're going to kill it for you and for me. And I hope you like the show. It's been a great run. It's sold out every performance. So we're really excited to present it to you. I think it really captures the essence of what community is all about. I thought our town would be a great way to celebrate this new space and celebrate all of you who are part of the community here at the Black Box Theater. So thanks for coming. Make sure you keep up to date with what's happening. And thanks for being part of my very last show.
No, I'm actually not sure.
This play is called Our Town. It was written by Thornton Wilder, produced here by the Artist Exchange, and directed by Mr. Rich Morra. In it, you'll see Miss Ray, Miss Lester, Miss Donnelly, Miss Good, Mr. Mako, Mr. Ferreira, Mr. Almeida, and many, many others. The name of the town is Grover's Corners, New Hampshire, just across the Massachusetts line. Latitude, 42 degrees, 40 minutes, longitude 70 degrees, 37 minutes. The first act shows a day in our town. The day is May the 7th, 1901. The time is just before dawn. The sky is beginning to show some streaks of light over in the east there, behind our mountain. Morning star always gets so wonderful bright the minute before it has to go, doesn't it? Well, I better show you how our town lies. Up here is Main Street. Way back there is the railway station. Tracks go that way. Polish towns across the tracks and some Canuck families. Over there is the Congregational Church. Across the street's the Presbyterian. Methodist and Unitarian are over there. Baptist is down the hollow by the river. Catholic Church is over beyond the tracks. Over here is Town Hall and the post office combined. Jail's in the basement. William Jennings Bryan once made a speech from these very steps here. Along here is a row of stores, hitching posts, and horse blocks in front of them. First automobile is going to come along in about 5 years, owned by banker Cartwright, our richest citizen. He lives in the big white house up on the hill. Now, here's the grocery store, and here's Mr. Morgan's drugstore. Most everybody in town manages to look into those 2 stores once a day. Public school is over yonder. High school still farther over. 8:45 mornings, noon times, 3 o'clock afternoons, the whole town can hear the yelling and screaming from those schoolyards. This is our doctor's. Here's some scenery for those who think they have to have scenery. This is the back door. And this is Mrs. Gibbs' garden. Corn, peas, beans, hollyhocks, heliotrope, and a lot of burdock. In those days, our newspaper come out twice a week, the Grover's Corner Sentinel. And this is Editor Webb's house. And this is Mrs. Webb's garden. It's just like Mrs. Gibbs, only it's got a lot of sunflowers, too. Right here, it's a big butternut tree. Nice town. You know what I mean? Nobody very remarkable ever come out of it, so far as we know. The earliest names on the tombstones in the cemetery up there in the mountain read 1670, 1680. They're Grovers and Cartwrights, Gibbses and Herseys. Same names as are around here now. So, as I said, it's just about dawn. The only lights on in town are in a cottage over by the tracks, where a Polish mother's just had twins. And in the Joe Kroll house, where Joe Jr.'s getting up so as to deliver the paper. And in the depot, where Shorty Hawkins is getting ready to flag the 5:45 for Boston. Naturally, out in the country and all around, there have been some lights on for quite some time, what with Milkins and so on. The town people sleep late. And so, another day's begun. Oh, here comes Doc Gibbs, coming down Main Street now. Coming back from that baby cage. Oh, and there's his wife, coming downstairs to make breakfast. Doc Gibbs died in 1930. That new hospital was named after him. Mrs. Gibbs died first, a long time ago, in fact. She went to visit her daughter, Rebecca, who married an insurance man in Canton, Ohio. Died there. Pneumonia. But her body was brought back here. Now she's up there in the cemetery, in with a whole mess of Gibbses and Herseys. She was Julia Hersey before she married Doc Gibbs in the Congregational Church there. In our town, we like to know the facts about everyone. Ah, there comes Mrs. Webb downstairs to make her breakfast too. And here's Doc Gibbs. Got that call at 1:30 this morning. Here comes Joe Kroll Jr. delivering Mr. Webb's Sentinel.
Morning, Doc Gibbs.
Morning, Joe.
Somebody been sick, Doc?
No, just twins born over in Polish town.
You want your paper now?
Yes, I'll take it. Anything serious going on in the world since Wednesday?
Yes, sir. My school teacher, Miss Foster, is getting married to some fella in Concord.
I declare. How do you boys feel about that?
Well, of course, it's none of my business, but if a person starts out to be a teacher, she ought to stay.
How's your name, Joe?
Fine, Doc. I don't really think about it at all. Like you said, it tells me when it's going to rain.
Is it telling you today gonna rain?
No, sir.
You sure?
Yes, sir.
You ever make a mistake?
No, sir.
Want to tell you something about that boy Joe Kroll there. Joe was awful bright. Graduated high school here, head of his class. So he got a scholarship to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Graduated head of his class there, too. It was all wrote up in the Boston paper at the time. Gonna be a great engineer, Joe was. And the war broke out, and he died in France. All that education for nothing. Here comes Howie Newsom, delivering the milk.
Morning, Doc.
Morning, Howie.
Somebody sick?
No, twins over to Mrs. Garislowski.
Twins, hey? This town's getting bigger every year.
Gonna rain today, Howie?
No, fine day. Dog ran through. Come on, Bessie.
Hello, Bessie. How old is she, Howie?
Going on 17. Bessie's all mixed up about the roof ever since the Lockhart stopped taking their quart of milk every day. She wants to leave them a quart just the same. He's calling me the whole trip.
Good morning, Howie.
Morning, Mrs. Gibb. Doctor's coming down the street.
Is he? It seems like you're late today, Howie.
Yeah, something was wrong with the separator. Don't know what was. Doc?
Howie,
Children, time to get up!
Come on, Bessie.
George, Rebecca! Everything all right, Frank?
Yes, I declare. Easy as kittens.
Bacon will be ready in a minute. You sit down and drink your coffee. You can catch a couple hours sleep this morning, can't you?
Oh, let's see. Mrs. Wentworth is in at 11. Guess I know what that's about, too. Her stomach ain't what it ought to be.
Well, all told, you won't get no more than 3 hours sleep. Frank Gibbs, I don't know what's going to become of you. I do wish you'd let me make you go away someplace and take a vacation. I think it would do you good.
Emily, time to get up! Wally, 7 o'clock!
I declare you've got to speak to George. It seems like something's come over him lately. He's no help to me at all. I can't even get him to cut me some wood.
Sassy to you?
No, he just whines. All he thinks about is that baseball. George! Rebecca! You'll be late for school! George!
George, look sharp!
Yes, Pa?
Don't you hear your mother calling you? Yeah. Suppose I'll go upstairs and get 40 winks.
Wally, Emily, you'll be late for school. Wally, you wash yourself good or I'll come up and do it myself.
Mom, what dress shall I wear?
Oh, don't make a noise. Your father's been out all night and needs his sleep. I washed and ironed the blue cotton for you special.
Mom, I hate that dress.
Now hush up with you.
Every day I go to school dressed like a sick turkey.
Now, Rebecca. You always look very nice.
Oh, Mama, George is doing so bad.
I will come up there and slap the both of you, I'm telling you.
There's a factory in our town, too. Hear it? Makes blankets. Cartwrights own it, and it brung 'em a fortune.
Children, now I won't have it. Breakfast is just as good as any other meal, and I won't have you gobbling like wolves. It'll stunt your growth, that's a fact. Put away your book, Wally.
Oh, Mom, by 10 o'clock I'm going to know all about Canada.
You know the rule as well as I do. No books at table. As for me, I'd rather have my children healthy than bright.
Oh, I'm both, Mama. You know I am. I'm the brightest girl in school for my age. I have wonderful memory.
Eat your breakfast.
I'm bright too when I'm looking at my stamp collection.
I'll speak to your father about it when he's rested. It seems to me like 25 cents a week ought to be enough for a boy your age. I declare I don't know what you spend it on.
Oh, Ma, I got a lot of things to buy.
Strawberry phosphates, that's what you spend it on.
I don't see how Rebecca comes to have so much money. She has more than $1.
I've been saving it up gradual.
Well, dear, I think it's a good idea to spend some every now and then.
Mama, do you know what I love most in the world? Do you? Money.
Eat your breakfast.
Now, walk fast, but you don't have to run. Pull up your pants at the knee, Wally. Stand up straight, Emily.
Now, you tell Miss Foster I send my best congratulations. Can you remember that?
Yes, Mom.
Now, you look real nice, Rebecca. Pick up your feet.
Goodbye.
Goodbye! Oh, no, you. Go away. Here. You don't belong to me. Where'd you come from? Oh, don't be so scared. Nobody's gonna hurt you. Good morning, Myrtle. How's your cold?
Well, I still get that tickling feeling in my throat. I told Charles I didn't know as I'd go to choir practice tonight. Wouldn't be any use.
Have you tried singing over your voice?
Yes, but somehow I can't do that and stay on the key. While I'm resting myself, I thought I'd drink some of these beans.
Here, let me help you. Beans have been good this year.
I've decided to put up 40 quarts if it kills me. Children say they hate them, but I notice they're able to get them down all winter.
Now, Myrtle, I've I've got something to tell you, because if I don't tell somebody, I'll burst.
Why, Julia Gibbs.
Here, give me some more of those beans. Myrtle, did one of those second-hand furniture men from Boston come to see you last Friday?
No.
Well, he called on me. First I thought he was a patient wanting to see Dr. Gibbs, and he wormed his way into my parlor, Myrtle Webb. He offered me $350 for Grandmother Wentworth's tie boy as I'm sitting here.
Why, Julia Gibbs.
He did, that old thing. Why, it was so big I didn't know where to put it. And I almost gave it to Cousin Hester Wilcox.
Well, you're gonna take it, aren't you?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know? $350. What's come over you?
Well, if I could get the doctor to take the money and go away someplace on a real trip, I'd sell it in a minute. You know, Myrtle, it's been the dream of my life to see Paris, France. Every 2 years. It's crazy, I suppose, but I always promised myself that if we ever had the
How
chance...
does the doctor feel about it?
Well, I beat about the bush a little and said that if I ever got a legacy, that's how I put it, I'd make him take me someplace.
And what did he say?
Well, you know the doctor. I haven't had a serious word out of him since I've known him. No, he says. It might make him discontented with Grover's Corners to go traipsing about Europe. Better let well enough alone, he says. He loves to take that trip to the battlefields of Gettysburg. And that's enough treat for anybody, he says.
Well, Mr. Webb just admires the way Dr. Gibbs knows everything about the Civil War. Mr. Webb's a good mind to give up Napoleon and move over to the Civil War. Only Dr. Gibbs, being one of the greatest experts in the country, just makes him despair.
It's a fact. Dr. Gibbs is never so happy as when he's at Antietam or Gettysburg. The times I've walked around those hills, Myrtle, stopping at every bush and pacing it all out like we were going to buy it.
Well, if that second-hand man's really serious about buying, Julia, you sell it. Then you'll get to see Paris, all right. Just keep dropping hints from time to time. That's how I got to see the Atlantic Ocean, you know.
I'm sorry I mentioned it. Only, it seems to me that once in your life before you die, you ought to see a country where they don't talk English. And they don't even want to.
Thank you, ladies. That'll do. Now we're going to skip ahead a few hours. But before we do it, we want a little more information on the town. Kind of a scientific account, you might say. So I've asked Professor Willard of our State University to sketch in a few details of our past history here. Is Professor Willard here? May I introduce Professor Willard of our State University? A few brief notes, thank you, Professor. Unfortunately, our time is limited.
Grover's Corners?
Yes.
Let me see. Grover's Corners lies on the old Pleistocene granite of the Appalachian Range. I may say it is some of the oldest land in the world. We're very proud of that.
Yes.
A shelf of Devonian basalt crosses it with vestiges of Mesozoic shale and some sandstone outcroppings. But that's all more recent, 200, 300 million years ago. Some highly interesting fossils have been found 2 miles out in Silas Peckham's cow pasture. They can be seen at any time at our university. That is, any reasonable time. Shall I read some notes on Professor Gruber's meteorological situation, mean precipitation, etc.?
Afraid we don't have time for that, Professor. We might have some notes on the history of man here.
Anthropological data. Early Amerindian stock, Cotahatchee tribe, no evidence before the 10th century of this era, now entirely disappeared. Possible traces in 3 families. Early migration toward the 17th century of English brachiocephalic stock, for the most part. Since then, some Slav and Mediterranean...
And the population, Professor.
Within the town limits, 2,640.
Just a moment, Professor.
All. The population at the moment is 2,642. The postal district brings in 507 more, making the total 3,149. Mortality and birth rates constant by McPherson's gauge 6.032.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor. We're all very much obliged to you.
Not
I'm
at all.
sure.
Not at all.
Yes. This way.
This way, yes.
Now, the political and social report. Editor Webb. Oh, Mr. Webb.
He'll be here in a minute. He just cut his hand while he was eating an apple.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Webb.
Charles! Everybody's waiting!
Mr. Webb is the publisher and editor of the Grover's Corner Sentinel. That's our local paper, you know.
Well, I don't have to tell you that we're run here by a board of selectmen. All males vote at the age of 21. Women vote indirect. We are a lower middle class, sprinkling of professional men, 10% illiterate laborers. Politically, we are 86% Republicans, 6% Democrats, 4% socialists, rest indifferent. Religiously, we are 85% Protestants, 12% Catholics, rest indifferent.
Have you any comments, Mr. Webb?
Oh, it's a very ordinary town if you ask me. A little better behaved than some, but probably a lot duller too. Young folk here seem to like it well enough. 90% of them, after graduating from high school, settle down right here to live, even after going away to college.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to ask Editor Webb some questions about the town?
Is there much drinking in Grover's Corners?
Well, ma'am, I don't know what you'd call much. Saturday nights, local farm hands meet down at Ellery Greenrose stable, and they holler some. We've got one or two town drunks, but they always get to having remorses every time an evangelist comes to town. No, ma'am. Liquor ain't a regular thing in the home here, except in the medicine chest. It's still right good for snake bite, you know. Always was.
Is there no one in town aware of?
Come forward, will you? Where we can all hear you. Yes. Now, what were you saying?
Is there no one in town aware of social injustice and industrial inequality?
Why, yes. Everybody is. Something terrible. Well, they spend most of their time talking about who's rich and who's poor.
Then why don't they do something about it?
I don't know. Could be that they're hunting like everybody else is, for a way that the sensible and diligent man may rise to the top, and the lazy and quarrelsome may sink to the bottom. But it ain't easy to find. Meanwhile, we do what we can to help those that can't help themselves, and, well, those that can, we leave well enough alone. Are there any other questions?
Oh, Mr. Webb? Mr. Webb, is there any culture or love of beauty in Grover's Corners?
Well, no, ma'am, there's not much. Not in the sense you mean. Come to think of it, there are some girls that play the piano at high school commencement, but they ain't happy about it. No, ma'am, culture, there's not much, but this is the time to tell you that we've got a lot of pleasures of a kind. We like watching the sun come up over the mountain in the mornings. And we watch the birds. Yes, we pay a lot of attention to them. And the change of the seasons. We all know those. But those other things you mentioned, no. There's not much. We do have Robinson Crusoe and the Bible, Handel's Larigot, and Whistler's Mother. But those are just about as far as we go.
As I thought. Thank you, Mr. Webb.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Webb. Well, some time has gone by. It's early afternoon. All 2,642 of them have had their dinners. All the dishes have been washed and put away. There's an early afternoon calm in our town. A buzzing and a humming from the school buildings, a few buggies on Main Street, horses dozing at the hitching posts. You all remember what it's like. Doc Gibbs is in his office over there, tapping people and making them say, ah. And Editor Webb is cutting his lawn over there. 1 man in 10 thinks it's a privilege to push his own lawnmower. Oh no, sir, it's later than I thought. There are the children coming home from school already.
I can't believe I've got to go home and help my mother. Bye.
Emily, walk simply. Who do you think you are today?
Papa, you're terrible. One minute you tell me to stand up straight, and the next you call me names. I just don't listen to you.
Oh, well, golly. I never got a kiss from such a great lady before.
Oh, excuse me, Mrs. Forrest.
Go out and play in the fields, young man. Main Street is no place to play baseball.
Awfully sorry, Mrs. Forrest. Hello, Emily.
Hello.
You made a fine speech in class today.
I was really ready to make a speech about the Monroe Doctrine, but at last minute Mrs. Corcoran made me talk about the Louisiana Purchase instead. I worked an awful long time in both of them.
Gee. It's funny, Emily. From my window up there, I can just see your head nights when you're doing your homework over in your room.
Why, can you?
You certainly do stick to it, Emily. I don't get how you can sit still that long. I guess you like school.
I feel it's something you have to go through.
Yeah.
I don't mind it, really. It passes the time.
Yeah. Emily, what do you think? We might work out a kind of telegraph from your window to mine, and every once in a while you can kind of give me a hint or two about one of those algebra problems. I don't mean the answers, of course not, Emily, just some little hint.
I think hints are allowed. So if you get stuck, George, you whistle to me, and I'll give you some hints.
Emily, you're just naturally bright, I guess.
I figure it's just the way the person is born.
Yeah. But you see, I want to be a farmer, and my Uncle Luke says that whenever I'm ready, I could come over and work with him on his farm. And if I'm any good, I can just gradually have it.
You mean the house and everything?
Yeah. Well, I better be getting out to the baseball field. Thanks for the talk, Emily. Good afternoon, Mrs. Webb.
Good afternoon, George.
So long, Emily.
So long, George.
Emily, come and help me string these beans for the winter. George Gibbs let himself have a real conversation, didn't he? Why, he's growing up. How old would George be?
I don't know.
Let's see. He must be almost 16.
Mom, I made a speech in class today and it was very good.
You must recite it to your father at supper. What was it about?
It was about the Louisiana Purchase. It was like silk off a spool. I'm going to make speeches all my life. Mom, are these big enough?
Try and get them a little bigger if you can.
Mama, will you answer me a question serious?
Seriously, dear, not serious.
Seriously. Will you?
Of course I will.
Mommy, am I good looking?
Yes, of course you are. All my children have got good features. I'd be ashamed if they hadn't.
Oh, Mama, that's not what I mean. What I mean is, am I pretty?
I already told you yes. Now that's enough of that. You have a nice, young, pretty face. I never heard of such foolishness.
Well, you never tell us the truth about anything.
I am telling you the truth.
Well, Mama, were you pretty?
Yes, I was, if I do say it. I was the prettiest girl in town, next to Mamie Cartwright.
Mama, you've got to say something about me. Am I pretty enough to get people, to get anybody interested in me?
Emily, you make me tired. Now stop it. You're pretty enough for all normal purposes. Come along now and bring that bowl with you.
Mama, you're no help at all.
Thank you, Mrs. Webb. Thank you, Emily. Now, I have to interrupt again here. You see, we want to explore some more about the town. Maybe this is a good time to tell you that the Cartwright interests have begun building a new bank in Grover's Corners. Had to go to Vermont for the marble, sorry to say. They've asked a friend of mine what they should put in the cornerstone for people to dig up 1,000 years from now. So, of course, we're putting in the New York Times and a copy of Mr. Webb's Sentinel. See, we're awfully interested in this kind of thing because there's some scientific fellas who found a way of painting all that reading matter with a glue, silicate glue, that'll make it keep 1,000, 2,000 years. So we're putting in the Bible, and a copy of the Constitution of the United States of America, and a copy of William Shakespeare's plays. What do you say, folks? What do you think? You know, Babylon once had 2 million people in it, and all we know about them is the names of the kings, and some copies of wheat contracts, and contracts for the sale of slaves. And yet every night all those families sat home for supper, and the father came home from his work, and smoke went up the chimney, same as here. And even in Greece and Rome, all we know about the real lives of the people is what we can piece together out of the joking poems and the comedies they wrote for the theater back then. So, I'm going to have a copy of this play put in the cornerstone. And people 1,000 years from now will know a few simple facts about us. More than the Treaty of Versailles or the Lindbergh flight. See what I mean? So, people 1,000 years from now, this is the way we were in the provinces north of New York at the beginning of the 20th century. This is the way we were in our growing up, and in our marrying, and in our living, and in our dying. Well, some time has passed. You can hear the choir practice going on in the Congregational Church. It's early evening. All the children are home doing their schoolwork. Days running down like a tired clock.
Blessed be the tie that binds our hearts in Christian love, the fellowship of kindred minds is like to that above.
Now, look here, everybody. Music come into the world to give pleasure. Softer. Softer. Get it out of your heads that music is only good when it's loud. You leave loudness to the Methodists. Could read them if you wanted to. Now again, tenors.
Before our Father's throne.
Emily.
Hello?
Hello.
I can't work at all. That's so terrible.
Emily, did you get the third problem?
Which?
The third?
Why, yes, George, that's the easiest of them all.
I don't see it. Can you give me a hint?
I'll tell you one thing. The answer's in yards.
In yards? How do you mean?
Square yards.
Oh, in square yards.
Yes, George, don't you see?
Yeah.
Square yards of wallpaper.
Wallpaper. Oh, I see. Thanks, Emily.
You're welcome. Why, isn't the moonlight wonderful? And choir practice going on. I think if you hold your breath, you can hear the train of the winter Patuca. Hear it?
What do you know?
Well, I guess you better get back and try to work.
Good night, Emily. And thanks.
Good night, George.
The fellowship of kindred minds is like to that above.
Now, before I forget, who will be able to come in Tuesday afternoon to sing for Fred Hersey's wedding? Show me your hands. So that'll be fine. That'll be right nice. We'll do the same music we did for Jane Trowbridge's last month. Now we'll do Art Thou Weary, Art Thou Languid. It's a question, ladies. Make it talk. Ready?
Yes, Pa.
Make yourself comfortable, George. I'll only keep you a minute. George, how old are you?
I am 16, almost 17, Pa.
What do you want to do when school's over?
You know, Pa, I want to be a farmer on Uncle Luke's farm.
Oh. You'd be willing, would you, to get up early and milk and feed the stock? You want to hoe in the hay all day long?
Sure I will. What do you mean, Pa?
Well, George, when I was in my office today, I heard a funny sound. What do you think it was? It was your mother, chopping wood. Yeah, you see your mother, getting up early, cooking meals all day long, washing, ironing. Still, she's going to go out and chop wood. Now, I suppose she just got tired of asking you. She just figured it was easier to go out and do it herself. You eat her meals, wear the clothes she keeps nice for you. You run off and play baseball. Like she's some hired girl we keep around the house, but don't like very much. I really had to call your attention to it. There's a package and stuff. George, I have decided to raise your spending money to 25 cents a week, not for chopping wood for your mother, because that is a present that you give to her. But, because you're older now, I imagine there's all sorts of things you can think of to do with it.
Thanks, Pa.
Let's see. Tomorrow's your payday. Count on that. Suppose Rebecca will think she should get more too. Look at me keeping your mother. Choir practice was never as late as this before.
It's only 8:30, Pa.
Why should join that choir anyway? Hasn't any more voice than an old crow. Tracing the streets at this time of night. It's about time you retired, don't you think?
Yes, Pa.
Come to me, said one, and promise me at rest.
Good night, Martha. Good night. Good night, Mrs. Foster.
I'll tell Mr. Webb I know he'll want to put it in the paper.
Thank you.
Hi, it's late. Good night, Irma. Real nice choir practice, wasn't it? Oh, Myrtle Webb, look at that moon, will you? Potato weather for sure.
Naturally, I didn't want to say a word about it in front of those others. But now we're alone. Really, it's the worst scandal that ever was in this town.
What?
Simon Stimson.
Oh, now, Luella.
But Julia, to have the organist of the church drink and drunk year after year, you know he was drunk tonight.
Now, Luella, we all know about Mr. Stimson, and we all know the troubles he's been through, and Dr. Ferguson knows too. And if Dr. Ferguson keeps him on there at his job, the only thing the rest of us can do is just not to notice it.
Not to notice it, but it's getting worse.
No, it isn't, Luella. It's getting better. I've been in that choir twice as long as you have. It doesn't happen anywhere near so often. Why? I hate to go to bed on a night like this. I better hurry. Those children will be up till all hours. Good night, Luella.
Can you get home safe, Luella?
It's as bright as day out. I can see Mr. Soames scowling at the window now. You'd think we'd been to a dance the way the menfolk carry on. Good night, Julia.
Good night. Well, we had a real good time.
You're late enough.
Now, Frank, it ain't any later than usual.
You out gossiping with a bunch of hens.
Now, Frank, don't be so grouchy. You come out. Smell this heliotrope in the moonlight. Now, isn't that wonderful? What did you do all the time I was away?
Oh, I read as usual. What were you girls gossiping about tonight?
Believe me, Frank, there is something to gossip about.
Simon Stimson clock on, was he?
He's the worst I've ever seen him. I don't know how that'll end. Dr. Ferguson can't forgive him forever.
I guess I know more about Simon Stimson's affairs than anybody in this town. Some people ain't made for small town life. I don't know how that's going to end. There's nothing we can do about it but leave it alone. So inside this.
Wait a minute, Frank. I'm worried about you.
What are you worried about, Julia?
I think it's my duty to make a plan for you to get a real rest and change. And if I get that inheritance, well, I'm going to insist on it.
Not go over this again, Julia.
Frank, you're so
Come
unreasonable.
on, Julia, it's getting late. Next thing you know, you catch cold. I gave George a piece of my mind tonight. I reckon you'll get your wood chopped for a while anyway. No, leave it, dear.
There's always so much to pick up around here, it seems like. You know, Frank, Mrs. Fairchild always locks her front door every night. All those people up that part of town do.
They're getting city-fied. That's the trouble with them. They haven't got nothing fit to burgle, and everybody knows it.
Get out, Rebecca! There's only room for one at this window. You're spoiling everything.
Just let me look a minute.
Use your own window.
I did, but there's no moon there. George? Do you think that the moon's getting nearer and nearer and there'll be a big explosion?
Rebecca, you don't know anything. If the moon were getting nearer, the guys that sit up all night on telescopes would see it and they'd tell about it. And it'd be in all the newspapers.
Do you think that the moon is shining over Canada, South America, and half the whole world?
Well, probably is.
Well, it's 9:30. Most of the lights are out. Oh, there's Constable Warren checking a few doors on Main Street. And there's Editor Webb after putting his newspaper to bed.
Oh, good evening, Bill.
Good evening, Mr. Webb.
It's quite a moon.
Yep.
All's quiet tonight.
Simon Stimson's rolling around a little. Just saw his wife moving out to hunt for him, so I looked the other way. There he is now.
Good evening, Simon. The town seems to have settled down for the night pretty well. Yes. Simon, the town seems to have settled in for the night pretty well. Perhaps we should do the same. Simon, may I walk along a ways with you? Well, good night, Simon.
I don't know how that's going to end, Mr. Webb.
Well, he's seen a peck of trouble of late. It's been one thing after another. Oh, Bill, if you see my boy smoking cigarettes, would you give him a word for me, Bill? He thinks very highly of you.
I don't think he smokes no cigarettes, Mr. Webb. Leastways not more than 2 or 3 year.
I hope not. Well, good night, Bill.
Good night, Mr. Webb.
Myrtle? Myrtle, is that you up there?
Oh, no, it's me, Papa.
Emily, why aren't you in bed?
I don't know, I just can't sleep yet. Papa, the moonlight's so wonderful. And the smell of Mrs. Gibbs' heliotrope, can you smell it?
Yes. Emily, you haven't had any troubles on your mind of late, have you?
Troubles, Papa, no.
All right. Well, enjoy yourself. Just don't let your mother catch you.
Good night, Papa.
told you about that letter that Jane Crowfoot got from her minister when she was sick. He wrote her a letter, and on the envelope, the address was like this. It said, Jane Crowfoot, Crowfoot Farm, Grover's Corners, Sutton County, New Hampshire, United States.
What's funny about that?
But listen, I'm not finished. The United States of America, the continent of North America, the Western Hemisphere, the Earth, the solar system, the universe, the mind of God.
What do you know?
That's what it said. And the postman delivered it just the same.
What do you know?
Well, that's the end of the first act, folks. You can go smoke now. Those who smoke.
His avatar is really cool.
3 years have gone by. Yes, the sun's come up over 1,000 times. Summers and winters have cracked the mountains a little bit more, and the rains have brought down some of the dirt. Some babies that weren't even born before have begun talking regular sentences already. And a number of people who felt themselves right young and spry, they notice they can't bound up a flight of stairs like they used to, without their heart fluttering a little. All that can happen in 1,000 days. Nature's been pushing and contriving in other ways, too. A number of young people fell in love and got married. Yes, the mountain's been bit away a few fractions of an inch. Millions of gallons of water went by the mill. And here and there, a new home was set up under a roof. Most everybody in the world gets married, you know what I mean? In our town, there aren't hardly any exceptions. Most everybody in the world climbs into their graves married. The first act was called The Daily Life. This act is called Love and Marriage. There's another act coming after this. I reckon you can guess what that's about. So, it's 3 years later. It's 1904. It's July 7th, just after high school commencement. That's about the time where most of our young people jump up and get married. As soon as they finish their last examinations on solid geometry and Cicero's orations, looks like they suddenly feel themselves fit to be married. Well, it's early morning. Only this time it's been raining. It's been pouring and thundering. Mrs. Gibbs' garden and Mrs. Webb's here drenched. All those bean poles and pea vines drenched. All day yesterday over there on Main Street, the rain looked like curtains being blown along. Looks like it may begin again any minute. There, you can hear the 5:45 for Boston. Here comes Mrs. Webb and Mrs. Gibbs downstairs to make breakfast, just as though it were an ordinary day. Now, I don't have to point out to the women in my audience that the ladies that they see before them, both of those ladies, cook 3 meals a day, one for 20 years, the other for 40, and no summer vacation. Raised 2 children apiece, washed, cleaned the house, and never a nervous breakdown. It's like what one of those Middle West poets said. You gotta love life to have life, and you gotta have life to love life. It's what they call a vicious circle. Well, here comes Howie Newsom delivering the milk. Ah, and there's Cy Kroll delivering the papers like his brother before him.
Morning, Howie.
Morning, Cy. Anything in the papers I ought to know?
Nothing much except for losing about the best baseball pitcher Grover's Corners ever had, the George Hughes.
Reckon he is.
He could hit and run bases, too.
Yep, mighty fine ball player. Whoa, Bessie. I guess I can stop your talk if I've got mind to.
I don't see how you could give up a thing like that just to get married. Did you, Howie?
Can't tell, Si. Never had no talent that way. You're up early, Bill.
Been seeing if there's anything I can do to prevent a flood. River's been rising all night.
Si Crow's worked up here about George Gibbs retiring from baseball.
Yes, sir, that's the way it goes. Back in '84 we had a player, Si. Even George Gibbs couldn't touch him. Name of Hank Todd. Went down to Maine and become a parson. Wonderful ball player. Howie, how does the weather look to you?
Oh, tain't bad. Think maybe it'll clear up for good.
Good morning, Howie. You think it'll start raining again?
Morning, Mrs. Gibbs. The rain's so heavy, I think maybe it'll clear up.
Certainly hope it will.
How much did you want today?
You're going to have a house full of relations, Howie. I'll need 3 of milk and 2 of cream.
My wife says to tell you, we both hope you'll be very happy, Mrs. Gibbs. No, they will.
You tell your wife I hope she gets there to the wedding.
She'll be there if she can.
Good morning, Mr. Newsom.
Morning, Mrs. Webb.
I told you 4 quarts of milk, but I hope you can spare me another.
Yes, sir, and the 2 of cream.
Would it start raining again, Mr. Newsom?
Well, just saying to Mrs. Gibbs as how it may lighten up. Mrs. Newsom told me to tell you as how we hope you'll both be very happy, Mrs. Webb. No, they will.
Thank you, and thank you, Mrs. Newsom. And we're counting on seeing you at the
Yes,
wedding.
Mrs. Webb, we hope to get there. Couldn't miss that. Come on, Bessie.
Well, Ma, the day's come. You're losing one of your chicks.
Frank Gibbs, don't say another word. I feel like crying every minute. Sit down and drink your coffee.
The groom is upstairs shaving himself. Only there ain't an awful lot to shave. Laughing and singing like he's glad to leave us. Every now and then he says, "I do," to the mirror. But it don't sound convincing to me.
I declare, Frank, I don't know how he'll get along. I've arranged his things and made sure he's put warm things on. Frank, they're too young. Emily won't think of such things. He'll catch his death of cold within a week.
I was remembering my wedding morning, Julia.
Oh, now don't you start.
I was the scaredest young fella in the state of New Hampshire. Thought I would make a mistake for sure. When I saw you coming down the aisle, thought you were the prettiest girl I had ever seen.
May 30th through June 16th.
Oh, well done.
Yes, it is.
This time, 9 years have gone by, friends. Summer, 1913. Gradual changes in Grover's Corners. Horses are getting rarer. Farmers are coming into town in Fords. Everybody locks their house doors now at night. Ain't been any burglars in town yet, but everybody's heard about them. You'd be surprised, though. On the whole, things don't change much around here. This is certainly an important part of Grover's Corners. It's on a hilltop, a windy hilltop. Lots of sky, lots of clouds, often lots of sun and moon and stars. Come up here on a fine afternoon, you can see range on range of hills. Awful blue they are, up there by Lake Sunapee and Lake Winnipesaukee. And way up, if you've got a glass, you can see the White Mountains and Mount Washington, where North Conway and Conway is. Of course, our favorite mountain, Mount Monadnock, is right here, and all these towns that lie around it. Jaffrey, East Jaffrey, Peterborough, and Dublin. And there, quite a ways down, is Grover's Corners. Yes, beautiful spot up here, mountain laurel and lilacs. I often wonder why people like to be buried in Brooklyn and Woodlawn when they might pass the same time up here in New Hampshire. Over here are the old stones, 1670, 1680. Strong-minded people come a long way to be independent. Summer people walk around there and they laugh at the funny words in the tombstones. I guess it don't do any harm. Genealogists come up from Boston, get paid by city people for looking up their ancestors. I guess that don't do any harm either. They want to make sure they're daughters of the American Revolution or the Mayflower. Wherever you come near the human race, there's plenty. It's layers and layers of nonsense. Well, here's some Civil War veterans. Iron flags on their graves. New Hampshire boys had a notion that the Union ought to be kept together. Although they'd never seen more than 50 miles of it themselves, all they knew was the name, friends. The United States of America. The United States of America. And they went and died about it. Here's the new part of the cemetery. Let me see. Here's your friend, Mrs. Gibbs. And, let me see. Mr. Stimson, the organist at the Congregational Church. Yeah, and Mrs. Soames, who enjoyed the wedding so, you remember. Oh, and a lot of others. Here's Editor Webb's boy, Wallace, whose appendix burst while he was on a camping trip to Crawford Notch. Yes, a lot of sorrow has been sort of quieted down up here. People just wild with grief brought their loved ones up to this hill. We all know how it is. And then time, and sunny days, and rainy days, and snow. We're all just glad they're in a beautiful place. And we're coming up here ourselves when our fit's over. Now, there are some things that we all know. We all know that something is eternal. And it ain't houses, and it ain't names, and it ain't earth, and it ain't even the stars. Everybody knows in their bones that something is eternal. And that something has to do with human beings. All the greatest people in the world have been telling us that for 5,000 years. And yet you'd be surprised how people are always losing hold of it. There's something way down deep that's eternal about every human being. Now, you know as well as I do that the dead, well, they don't stay interested in us living people anymore. For very long. Gradually, they lose hold of the earth. And the pleasures they had, and the ambitions they had, and the things they suffered, and the people they loved. They get slowly weaned away from the earth. That's the way I put it. Weaned away. And they come up here, and the earth part of them burns away, burns out. And all that time they slowly get indifferent to what's going on in Grover's Corners. They're waiting. They're waiting for something they can feel is coming. Something important and great. Aren't they waiting for that eternal part in them to come out clear? Well, some of the things they're going to say, maybe it'll hurt your feelings, but that's the way it is. Mother and daughter, husband and wife, enemy and enemy, money and miser. All those terribly important things kind of grow pale around here. And what's left when your memory's gone? And your identity, Mrs. Smith. Well, there are some living people. There's Joe Stoddard, our undertaker. He's supervising a new-made grave. And there's the Grover's Corners boy that left town to go out west.
Good afternoon, Joe Stoddard.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Let me see now. Do I know you?
I'm Sam Craig.
Sakes alive. Of all people. I should have known you'd be back for the funeral. You've been away a long time, Sam.
Yes, I've been away over 12 years. I'm in business out of Buffalo now, Joe. But I was in the East when I got the news of my cousin's death. So I thought that I combined things a little and come see the old home. You look well.
Yes, yes. Can't complain. Very sad our journey's face have you up.
Yes.
Yes, yes. I always say I hate to supervise when a young person is taken. They'll be here in a few minutes now. I had to come in early today. My son's supervising at my home.
Old Farmer McCarty. I used to do tours for him after school. He had the lumbago.
Yes, we bought Farmer McCarty here a number of years ago now.
Why, this is my Aunt Julia. I forgot that she... Oh, of course.
Yes, Doug Gibbs lost his wife 2-3 years ago, about this time. And today's another pretty bad blow for him, too.
That's my sister Carrie's son, Sam. Sam Craig.
I'm always uncomfortable when they're around.
Simon?
Did they choose to wear verses once, Joe?
No, not usual. Mostly for bereaved pick a verse.
That doesn't sound like Aunt Julia. There aren't many of those Hersey sisters left now. Let me see, where are, I'm looking for my father's and mother's.
Over there, with the Craigs Avenue Act.
He was organist at the church, wasn't he? Drank a lot, we used to say.
Nobody was supposed to know about it. He'd seen the peck of trouble. He took his own life, you know.
Oh, did he?
Hung himself in the attic. They tried to hush it up. But of course, it got around. He chose his own epitaph. You could see it there. It ain't a verse exactly.
Well, it's just some notes of music. What is it?
Oh, I wouldn't know. It was wrote up in the Boston papers at that time.
Joe, what did she die of?
Who?
My cousin.
Oh, you didn't know? Had some trouble bringing a baby into the world. 'Twas her second though. There's a little boy about 4 years old.
The grave's going to be over there?
Yes. There ain't much more room over here among the Gibbses. So they're opening up a whole new Gibbs section over by Avenue B. You excuse me now. I see they're coming.
Who is it, Julia?
My daughter-in-law, Emily Webb.
Well, I declare. The road up here must have been awful muddy. What did she die of, Julia?
In childbirth.
Ah, childbirth. I'd forgotten about that. My, wasn't life awful? And wonderful.
Wonderful, was it?
Simon, now remember.
I remember Emily's wedding. Wasn't it a lovely wedding? And I remember Emily reciting the class poem at graduation exercises. Emily was one of the brightest girls ever graduated high school. I've heard Principal Wilkins say so time after time. I called on them on their new farm just before I died. Perfectly beautiful farm.
It's on the same road we lived on.
Yep, right smart farm.
I always liked that hymn. I was hoping they'd sing a hymn.
Hello, Emily.
Well, hello, Miss Gibbs.
Hello, Mother Gibbs.
Emily.
Hello. It's raining.
Yes. They'll be gone soon, dear. Just rest yourself.
It seems thousands and thousands of years since Papa had remembered that was my favorite hymn. Oh, I wish I'd been here a long time. I don't like being new here. How do you do, Mr. Stimson?
How do you do, Emily?
Mother Gibbs, George, and I had made that farm into just the best place you ever saw. Thought of you all the time. I wanted to show you the new barn and the great long cement drinking fountain from the stock. Got it from the money you left us.
I did?
Yes, Mother Gibbs, don't you remember the legacy you left us? It was over $350.
Yes. Yes, Emily.
Well, there's a patent device on the drinking fountain so that it never overflows. Mother Gibbs, and it never sinks below a certain mark they have there. It's fine. It won't be the same to George without me, but it's a lovely farm. Blind people don't understand, do they?
No, dear. Not very much.
Shut up in little boxes, aren't they? I feel as though I knew them last 1,000 years ago. My little boy is spending the day at Mr. Carter's. Oh, Mrs. Carter, my little boy is spending the day at your house.
Is he?
Yes. He loves it there. Mother Gibbs, we have a Ford, too. It never gives us any troubles. I don't drive, though. Mother Gibbs, when does this feeling go away? Of being one of them, how long does it take?
Shh, dear. Just wait. And be patient.
After they're finished, we're going.
Shh.
some of my flowers to you. Oh, he looks just like George, doesn't he? Mother Gibbs, I never realized how troubled and how in the dark alive people are. Look at him. I loved him so from morning till night. That's all they are. Trouble.
A little cooler than it was.
Yes, that rain's cooled it off a little. Those northeast winds always do the same thing, don't they? If it isn't a rain, it's a 3-day blow.
Mother Gibbs, when can go back? One can go back into living. I know it, I feel it. Just then, for a moment, I was thinking about the farm, and for a minute I was there, and my baby was on my lap, plain as day.
Yes, of course you can.
I can go and live all those days over again. Why not?
All I can say is, Emily, don't.
It's true, isn't it? I can go back there again.
Yes, some have tried. They soon come back here.
Don't do it, Emily.
I won't live over a sad day. I'll choose a happy one. I'll choose the day I first knew that I loved George. Why should that be painful?
You not only live it, but you see yourself living it. And as you watch it, you see the things that they down there never know. You see the future. You know what's going to happen afterwards.
Is that painful? Why?
That's not the only reason why you shouldn't do it, Emily. When you've been here longer, you'll see that our life here is to forget all that and think only on what's ahead and be ready for what's ahead. When you've been here longer, you'll understand.
Mother Gibbs, how can I ever forget that life? It's all I know. It's all I had.
Emily, don't. It's not what you think it'd be.
But it's something I must know for myself. I'll choose a happy day anyway.
No. At least choose an unimportant day. Choose the least important day of your life. It will be important enough.
It can't be since I was married or since the baby was born. I can choose a birthday at least, can't I? I choose my 12th birthday.
All right. February 11th, 1899. A Tuesday. Would you like any special time of the day?
Oh, I want the whole day.
All right. We'll begin at dawn. You'll remember it has been snowing for several days. It had stopped the night before. They had begun clearing the roads. Sun's coming up.
Why, there's Main Street. And there's Mr. Morgan's drugstore before he changed it. And there's the livery stable.
Yes, this is 14 years ago. It's 1899.
That's the town I knew as a little girl. Oh, I love the old white fence that used to be around our house. I've forgotten that I loved it so. Are they inside?
Yes, your mother will be coming down in a few moments to make breakfast.
Will she?
Yes, and you'll remember that your father has been away for several days. He came back on the early morning train.
No.
Yes, he went back to his college to make a speech in New York at Clinton.
Why, there's Howie Newsome. And there's our policeman. He's dead. He died.
Whoa, Bessie. Morning, Bill.
Morning, Howie.
You're up early.
Been rescuing a party down near froze to death, down by Polish Town there. Got drunk and lay out in the snowdrifts. Thought he was in bed when I shook him.
Why, there's Joe Crow. Good morning, Mr. Warren. Good morning, Howie.
Children! Emily! Wally! Time to get up!
Oh, Mama, I'm here. Oh, young Mama. Looks I never knew Mama was ever that young.
You can come and dress by the kitchen fire if you like, but hurry! Good morning, Mr. Newsome. Oh, it's cold.
10 feet over by my pond, Mrs. Webb.
Think of it. Keep yourself wrapped up.
Mama, I can't find my blue hair ribbon anywhere.
Just open your eyes, dear, is all.
Oh, good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Mr. Webb. You're up early.
Yes, just been back to my cabin in New York. Has there been any trouble here?
Well, I was called up this morning to rescue a Polish fella. Darn near froze to death he was.
Oh, we must get it in the papers.
'Twarn't much.
Papa.
Good morning, Mother.
How did it go, Charles?
Fine, I guess. I told him a few things. Everything all right here?
Yes? Can't think of anything that's happened special. Been right cold. Howie Newsom says it's 10 below over to his barn.
Oh, it's colder than that at Hamilton College. Students' ears are falling off. It ain't Christian. The paper had any mistakes in it.
None that I noticed. Coffee's ready when you want it. Charles, don't forget, it's Emily's birthday today. Did you remember to get her something?
Yes, I've got something for her here. Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
Don't interrupt her now, Charles. You can see her at breakfast. She's slow enough as it is. Hurry up, children! You'll be late for school. Now I don't want to call you again.
I can't bear it. They're so young and beautiful. Why did they ever have to get old? Mama, I'm here. I'm grown up. I love you all, everything. I can't look at everything hard enough. Good morning, Mama.
Well now, dear. A very happy birthday to my girl and many happy returns. There's some surprises waiting for you on the kitchen table.
Oh, Mama, you shouldn't have. I can't.
But birthday or no birthday, I want you to eat your breakfast good and slow. I want you to grow up and be a good, strong girl. That in the blue paper is from your Aunt Carrie. And I reckon you can guess who brought over the postcard album. I found it on the doorstep when I brought in the milk. George Gibbs. Must have come over in the cold pretty early. Right nice of him.
George, I'd forgotten that.
Chew that bacon good and slow. It'll help keep you warm on a cold day.
Mama. Just look at me one moment as though you really saw me. Mama, 14 years have gone by. I'm dead. Your grandmother, Mama, I married George Gibbs. Wally's dead too. His appendix burst on that camping trip to North Conway. Which is terrible about it, don't you remember? Just for a moment, now that we're together. Mama, now that we're happy, let's look at one another.
That in the yellow paper is something I found in the attic among your grandmother's things. You're old enough to wear it now, and I thought you'd like it.
This is from you. Oh, Mama, it's beautiful. It's just what I wanted.
Well, I hoped you'd like it. Hunt it all over. Your Aunt Nora couldn't find one in Concord, so I had to send all the way to Boston. Wally has a surprise for you, too. He made it in manual training class, and he's very proud of it. I'm sure you make a big deal about it. Your father has a surprise for you, too. Don't know what it is myself. Shh, here he comes.
Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
I can't go on. It goes so fast. We don't have time to look at one another. I didn't realize. So all that was going on and I never noticed. Take me back. Up the hill to my grave, but first, wait. One more look. Goodbye. Goodbye, world. Goodbye, Grover's Corners. Mama and Papa. Goodbye to clocks ticking. And Mama's sunflowers and food and coffee. And new iron dresses and hot baths and sleeping and waking up. Oh, Earth. You're too wonderful for anyone to realize you. Do any human beings ever realize life while they live it? every minute.
No. The saints and poets do. They do, son.
I'm ready to go back.
Were you happy?
No. I should have listened to you. That's all human beings are, just blind people.
Look, it's clearing up. The stars are coming out.
Oh, Mr. Stimson, I should have listened to them.
Yes, now you know. Now you know. That's what it was to be alive, to move about in a cloud of ignorance, to go up and down, trampling on the feelings of those about you, to spend and waste time as if you had 1,000,000 years, to be always at the mercy of one self-centered passion or another. Yes, now you know. That's the happy existence you wanted to go back to. Ignorance and blindness.
Simon Stimson, that ain't the whole truth and you know it. Look at that star, Emily. I forget its name.
My boy Joel, he was a sailor, knew 'em all. Used to sit on the porch evenings and tell 'em all by name. Yes, sir, wonderful. A star is mighty good company.
Yes, yes, 'tis.
Well, here's one of them coming.
It's funny.
Ain't no time for one of them to be here.
Goodness sakes.
Mother Gibbs, it's George.
Just rest yourself.
It's George.
And my boy Joel, who knew the stars, he used to say it took millions of years for that little speck of light to get to the earth. Don't seem like a body can believe it, but that's what he used to say. Millions of years.
Miss sakes, that ain't no way to behave.
He ought to be home.
Mother Gibbs.
Yes, Emily.
They don't understand, do they?
No, dear. They don't understand.
Most everybody's asleep in Grover's Corners. There are a few lights on. Shorty Hawkins down at the depot has just watched the Albany train go by. And at the livery stable, there are some people setting up late talking. Yep, it's clearing up. There are the stars doing their old crisscross journey in the sky. Scholars haven't settled the matter yet. They seem to think that there are no living beings up there, just chalk or fire. Only the one is straining away all the time to make something out of itself. Strained so bad that every 16 hours everybody lies down and gets a rest. It's 11 o'clock in Grover's Corners. You get a good rest too. Good night.
like to invite Rich Morra to the stage. Here is Rich. This is Rich's last performance here with us at Artist Exchange in Theater 82. We'd like to just talk about a couple of things throughout the 9 years he's been the director of the Black Box. And we'd like to invite a few people up. Mark Carter,
Sure.
Tom Chase, Chris White, you want to come up? Bobby Mocco, and Kathy McGilvery. This is the team right from the beginning that's been working with Rich to build the Artist Exchange and to build the Black Box Theater. So I can remember before Artist Exchange opened, Rich and I were on the sidewalk painting and greeting neighbors and introducing everybody to the idea of opening an arts center on Ralph Square. So it was kind of an interesting thing. People were confused, they didn't know what was going on, but we had big dreams, and it's been a long 9 years. We've accomplished a lot in that time, and we want to present you with this as a thank you for all of our and for bringing theater to Cranston and putting the Black Box and Artist Exchange on the map in Rhode Island. Thank you, Rich.
I'll be brief because I know these guys are a little longer-winded, and I've already said enough today. Rich, I came off the street. I was living down the road. I had just come back from living in Seattle, and I didn't really have any work. And I walked into the Artist Exchange, and Rich was there, and all these guys, some of these guys came bounding out of the little Black Box Theater that's over there, and Rich is like, "Who are you? What do you do?" And I said, I play piano. I'm a musician. I'm looking for work. He said, "Just a minute." This is what he always does. Like, "Just a minute." He gets on his phone, and then he said, "There's a piano over there. Go play it." So I go over to the piano and start playing a little bit, and he puts his phone down and comes over. "Hi, would you like to be my best friend?" From then on, it was one of these things that Rich and I, we just are really brothers from another mother, and he really inspired me to get into acting and all sorts of other things. And he's just every single person that's on this stage right now and way beyond. He's brought into the Artist Exchange. He's responsible for every single person here on stage, and he has done a wonderful job cultivating the talents of a variety of people, and he's just a wonderful teacher and really my best friend.
How y'all doing, folks? I'm not really a brother. I'm more like the crazy uncle. I've known Rich actually since 2006, and he's given me a great opportunity to be here. I've been here for the past 7 years. I've been lucky enough to, by Rich's design, to be part of Christmas Carol for at least, what, I said 7? Yeah, about 6 of those years. And he's also given me some excellent ideas. I know they did a musical of mine, and I don't write musicals, but there was a show called Intermittence, which he took, and it was okay. It worked in college, but it was much better now here in under his directorial iron fist, if you want to call it that. And so I've had this home for quite some time, and I have Mr. Morra here to thank for that. And that's it. Thank you very kindly, Rich, for taking the call.
I knew Rich 9 years ago at the days of the rec center after high school. He has put me in his white wing. He has taught me a lot of things. He wanted me to go to college. He wanted me to teach about theater. And now that he's about to go to the Northwest, he wants me to spread my wings out. And hopefully that someday I'll do the same thing that Richard would do to all these people here. And I want to personally thank Rich for being my guy and my friend for all these 9 years. He pulled me off the streets. He recognized my theater talents. I just have to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Rich for his vision that he made come true for all of us, and for how he brought people to theater, to understand theater, myself included, and my friends like David Frankie and Chris and Bobby and Jeff and Ken. And I thank God for giving your heart and your soul for all these years with you.
I came to Black Box at a low point in my life when I lost a job and I didn't know what I was going to do. And on an impulse, one of my caseworkers brought me here. And I had drama teachers, but Rich was the best drama teacher I ever had. Taught me a lot about drama, and for this I thank Rich with all my heart. Even though I didn't always follow his directions. Best drama teacher I ever had. Taught me a lot about drama, and for this I thank Rich.
Rich, I don't know what I have done without you. I would not be here today if you hadn't saved my life. And done some stupid thing, but you taught me how to do things right. And I don't know what I'd do without you and making me what I am today. We're all going to miss you, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That means so much to hear from all of you in that way. It really does. Thanks to Elaine for having the vision to start all of this back in 2004. And Kathy, thank you for letting her have that vision. The opportunities that you both gave me to create this, to create a community of actors, and more than a theater, but a family of people that come together and share the best of themselves on stage and show the entire community what they're capable of doing, and overlooking any sort of obstacle that might be a prejudice or an idea that someone has about someone, and just allowing us to have a venue to tell so many wonderful, beautiful stories. And it's been an absolute privilege to privilege to be able to share that. And one final thing I want to say, and it really sums up everything that I feel in my heart is true. I apologize to the cast for repeating it because I shared it with them with our last pre-show circle, but listen to the words and try and live it. Live these words. It's a quote that means a lot to me, and it's by George Bernard Shaw. This is the true joy in life. Being recognized by yourself as a mighty force, instead of a selfish clod of grievances and ailments, complaining that the world is not devoted to making you happy. I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the whole community, and it is my duty to do for it what I can. Life is no brief candle to me. It is a sort of splendid torch, which I have hold of for the moment, and I want to hand it off to future generations and let it burn as bright as I can. to support the wonderful work that Artist Exchange is doing. It makes a difference. It makes a difference, and they have great stories to tell. Come back, see what they have in store. Look out for me. Maybe I'll do something interesting or foolish or fun.
All the above.
All of the above. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thanks again.
Okay.